Good evening, traveler of thought, wherever you are, under whatever sky, welcome. Maybe the day has been long. Maybe the world feels a little too sharp around the edges tonight. So before we begin, take a slow breath and let it soften. The hum of your room is enough. The rhythm of your breath is enough. Everything that needs to be done can wait until the morning. Right now, this moment is a small pocket of quiet carved just for you. Tell me, where in the world are you watching from tonight? Somewhere, a city sighs under soft rain. Somewhere else, the desert cools beneath its patient stars. Wherever you are, the night holds you the same way it holds galaxies. Gently, without asking for anything in return. The story we're beginning isn't about answers. It's about edges and how they fade, about the places where thought and space meet, and neither one quite ends. You're here because you've wondered. Does space end? Or does it stretch on forever, a kind of cosmic lullaby that never resolves? Before we drift too far, let's begin the way the universe began, quietly and all at once. Imagine a single point. No size, no color, no sound. Just possibility. The way a blank page holds every poem not yet written, or the way the pause before sleep holds every dream not yet seen. That was the universe long before galaxies, before atoms, before even time had somewhere to go, and then expansion. A blooming so vast, so elegant, it never really stopped. Space stretches still, silently, invisibly, like your chest rising with each breath. Every inhale a tiny echo of that first expansion. Every exhale a reminder that even the infinite can rest. You don't have to understand it. No one truly does. But you can feel it, that strange pull between smallness and belonging. The sense that you are both an observer and a participant in something that never quite stops unfolding. The same atoms that spin inside distant suns are quietly humming inside you right now. That's not poetry, though it sounds like it. It's physics. Tender, luminous physics. If you listen closely, you can almost hear the background hum of the cosmos, a soft static left over from the beginning, like the faint hiss you hear when you turn up the volume on silence. The universe remembers its own birth in that sound, and somehow, so do we. You might think about the word infinity. It sounds heavy, but it isn't. Infinity isn't a wall you crash into. It's a horizon that keeps stepping back. Like walking toward the sunset, you never arrive, yet you're always surrounded by light. And perhaps that's what makes it beautiful. The not knowing, the unreachability, the invitation to wonder without ever needing to finish the thought. Some nights, astronomers turn their telescopes to the deepest parts of the sky and capture light that left its home billions of years ago. When you look at those photographs, the ones filled with tiny glowing dots, each speck isn't a star but an entire galaxy. Billions of suns, billions of worlds, quietly existing in that one fleck of space. The distances are so immense that our language folds under their weight, and yet somehow you can hold that image in your palm, glowing softly on a screen beside your bed. There's something tender in that, the contrast between cosmic scale and human smallness. The fact that the universe can be both unfathomable and intimate at the same time. You lying here, wrapped in blankets and blue light, thinking about galaxies that don't even know you exist. And yet in some way they do. You are built from their remnants. Every carbon atom in your body was once part of a star that lived, burned, and died to make room for you. The stars don't just shine, they give. They collapse and scatter, and from that scattering comes everything. Mountains, oceans, and yes, minds that can wonder about it all. You are made of the debris of generosity. Stardust, as they say, though that phrase has been used so often it risks losing its gravity. But it's true, unshakably true. So when you breathe in, you're breathing the universe's memory. Hydrogen and helium, nitrogen and oxygen, relics of ancient fire cooled into something that can feel warmth. That's the quiet miracle of existence. I know sometimes the scale of it can feel dizzying. The thought of endlessness, of no edge, no end, can make the mind flutter like a candle in wind. But remember, infinity doesn't mean chaos.
It means continuity.
It means that even when something drifts away, a star, a thought, a moment, it finds its place somewhere else. Energy doesn't vanish. It simply changes its tone. Like a song fading into another room, the universe is in a way learning to rest. Everything that rushes eventually slows. Stars burn slower as they age. Galaxies drift apart with patient grace. And you are part of that same deceleration, that same cosmic exhale. And maybe that's why night feels sacred. When the noise of the day finally recedes, you can sense the rhythm beneath everything, the vast, steady breathing of the cosmos.
Out there, light is traveling. Out there, space is stretching.
And here, inside this tiny moment, you are witnessing it all by simply being. Sometimes I like to imagine that the universe hums lullabies to itself, vibrations through the fabric of space-time, gentle gravitational waves that ripple and fade. Maybe that's what peace feels like on a cosmic scale, motion so subtle it becomes stillness. So if your thoughts are racing, let them drift outward. Imagine them as tiny comets gliding through the quiet. They don't have to return. They can keep going until they dissolve into the background of everything.
There's no rush, no arrival.
Just expansion. The beauty of infinity isn't in its distance, it's in its patience. Infinity never demands you reach it.
It just invites you to look.
And even that looking, even the simple act of wondering is enough to become part of it. The human mind, after all, is a kind of small universe, expanding with every question, filled with constellations of memories and ideas. When you think about space, your neurons fire in intricate patterns, electricity dancing across the soft galaxies within your skull. Every thought you have about the stars is, in its own way, a star being born, you see? Even here, in your quiet room, infinity finds you. If your eyes are beginning to feel heavy, that's all right. The mind can wander farther when it's soft around the edges. The voice you hear now doesn't need to stay sharp. It can fade like light traveling across time. You can let go of the need to follow every idea. They will come back in dreams, reshaped, simplified, glowing, because this story, this night, isn't about finding an answer. It's about resting inside the question. So does space end? Perhaps not in the way we imagine. Maybe the end of space is just the beginning of awareness. Maybe what we call the edge is where thought pauses to take a breath. And if that's true, then you, lying there, listening, are part of that breath. You are the pause between the universe's inhale and exhale. The still point between curiosity and rest. Take one more deep breath with me. Feel the quiet expand.
Let it stretch just beyond your skin.
There's no edge here. Only softness. Only continuity.
Only the gentle hum of existence. And as we drift further,
the stars will wait. The galaxies will keep turning. And the universe, infinite, unfinished, endlessly kind, will hold us exactly where we are. Hello there. Maybe you're already tucked into bed, or maybe you're just beginning to slow down, letting the hum of your day fade into something softer. Wherever you are, beneath a city's dim clouds, in the quiet hum of countryside dark, or somewhere in between, this moment belongs entirely to you. The light has dimmed, the world has grown gentle, And now we can ask one of the oldest questions to ever float across the night sky. If space is infinite,
How do we know?
you can imagine the sky the way our ancestors once saw it. An enormous bowl turned upside down, stars like candles stuck to its surface. It must have seemed comforting that there was
A ceiling to it all, a limit.
the idea of infinity was far more unsettling. To look up and feel there was no end, that everything went on forever, that was a mystery almost too large to touch. But even then, they tried. They watched the movements of the stars, their patterns, their return. They told stories of hunters, goddesses, animals, and dreams, because stories gave shape to the vastness. When something is too big to understand, we wrap it in narrative, the way the night wraps the earth in shadow. It makes the infinite seem personal, reachable, and kind. The ancient Greeks imagined the cosmos as nested spheres, crystalline shells turning in perfect harmony. The Babylonians charted the heavens to predict fate, while in India, the Vedas described creation as an endless breathing, universes expanding and contracting like lungs. In China, philosophers spoke of the Tao, a boundless flow that moved through all things. And in every one of these visions, there was awe, the same awe you might feel now, lying in the half-dark, listening to a voice talk softly about stars. You and those ancient dreamers aren't so different. You both want to know where everything begins and whether it ever stops. Close your eyes for a moment and picture a horizon. Maybe it's the ocean, its silver line melting into the dusk. Maybe it's a desert stretching into haze. Wherever you imagine it, notice how the horizon never truly arrives. You can walk toward it forever, and it keeps slipping just ahead of you. The edge of space, scientists say, behaves the same way. When we peer through telescopes, vast mirrors aimed into eternity, we see light that has traveled billions of years to reach us. Some of that light began its journey when Earth was nothing more than cooling rock, when the first bacteria hadn't yet dreamed of becoming trees or tigers or you. That means every look into the night is a look back in time. Each star you see is a fossil of brightness, an ancient telegram from the past. And when astronomers push their instruments to the limit, when they stare into what appears to be darkness itself, they discover something astounding. More galaxies, hidden like whispers, faint but undeniable. The farther they look, the more they find. As if the universe is gently teasing, always one mystery ahead. But how do we know that space keeps going?
Isn't there a wall, a border, an outside?
You might imagine the universe as a kind of balloon, not filled with air, but with space itself. As it expands, every galaxy moves away from every other, not because they're flying through space, but because the fabric of space between them is stretching. There's no center, no edge. From any point, the view looks much the same, galaxies receding, distances growing, time itself dilating like a sigh. The Hubble telescope showed us that expansion. It revealed the redshift, how light stretches as space stretches. The farther a galaxy is, the redder its glow, its wavelength pulled longer like taffy in slow motion. It's a gentle proof of movement, an ancient ripple still ongoing from that first explosion of being. And then came the discovery of the cosmic microwave background, the faint afterglow of creation. Scientists describe it as the universe's baby picture, a soft haze of radiation still humming through everything. It's not loud. It's barely detectable, like a memory whispered across eternity. Yet in that whisper lies confirmation that the universe had a beginning, and perhaps an endless unfolding after. Maybe you can feel a strange tenderness in that we, small and temporary, have found ways to measure something so immense. We've built tools to listen to echoes billions of years old, to map the invisible, to transform curiosity into understanding. And still it's wonder that drives us, not conquest, not certainty. Just wonder. Even the void, one physicist said, is alive with echoes. You can imagine it now, the void as a soft field, trembling faintly, filled with potential. Particles appear and disappear, virtual and fleeting, like thoughts you almost had, but forgot. It's a universe that hums, breathes, and thinks in its own slow rhythm. If you listen long enough, you might notice the same rhythm in yourself. That's the secret the cosmos and the mind share, Bucky. Both are infinite in their own way, both filled with empty space and sudden light. Your thoughts drift across the vastness of your consciousness the same way galaxies drift across the vacuum. Slow, unpredictable, yet beautifully connected by invisible threads. And so, as you lie there, you're not just looking at the universe, you're participating in it. The atoms in your hands were once hydrogen in the first stars. The calcium in your bones was forged in supernovae. The iron in your blood came from explosions so bright they outshone entire galaxies. You are not outside the cosmos wondering about it. You are the cosmos, wondering about itself. There's a kind of quiet humor in that, isn't there? The universe spending 13.8 billion years arranging itself into a form that could lie under blankets and ask, does space ever end? And yet, asking is part of what makes it beautiful. It means the story is still alive. The moment curiosity flickers, the universe expands a little more, not just in matter, but in meaning. And let's linger on that thought, softly. Imagine a night long before telescopes, before even language. Somewhere, an early human sits beside a fire, watching sparks drift upward into the dark. Each spark fades, but for a moment it seems to join the stars. Maybe they wondered if those lights were the same, if the tiny fire above the ground was somehow connected to the greater fire beyond the clouds. That wondering, that upward gaze is the same movement you're making now, the same human gesture, repeated across ages, the neck tilting back, the eyes widening, the breath catching for a heartbeat. Awe is one of the oldest languages we speak, and the universe seems to understand it perfectly. Now, if you picture all those human eyes that have ever looked up, every sailor, dreamer, scientist, poet, their collective gaze forms a kind of invisible constellation. Billions of tiny witnesses to the same vast silence. You are part of that constellation now, lying quietly in the glow of your own small corner of the cosmos. Even our instruments, those great mirrors of glass and metal, are like eyes extending our sight. The Hubble telescope, the James Webb, the arrays on mountain tops. They are our mechanical eyelids, opening wider, always searching. But behind every lens is still a human heartbeat, a quiet wish to see more clearly what can never truly be seen in full. And maybe that's okay. Maybe the value isn't in reaching the edge, but in realizing that the edge keeps moving, like the horizon on the sea. You don't need to find the end to find meaning. The search itself is a kind of prayer. As you listen, your breathing may have slowed. Maybe your shoulders have softened a little, the way stars ease into their twilight.
That's good.
You're mirroring the rhythm of everything that moves at cosmic scale, slow, patient, effortless. You see, the universe doesn't hurry. It has nowhere to be but here, in its own unfolding. Galaxies drift like jellyfish through black oceans. Clusters move with stately grace.
Light travels, not rushing, but gliding as if savoring the distance.
And through all of it, time hums softly, holding everything in place. Imagine the Milky Way from far away, a spiral of billions of stars, each one circling in serene coordination. From that distance, even catastrophe looks calm. Supernovas bloom and fade like slow flowers. Planets swing gently in their orbits, some carrying oceans, some frozen and silent, all part of the same vast choreography. And within that choreography, within that enormous cosmic waltz, sits one small planet with oceans that breathe and creatures that dream, and someone like you, listening to this voice in the dark, if you've ever felt small. Remember this, smallness doesn't mean insignificance. It means participation. To be small is to fit perfectly into something larger. The atom fits the cell fits the body fits the world, and the world fits the universe. Scale is only perspective. Meaning exists at every size, so when you look at the night sky, you're not looking up. You're looking out across the curve of your own being. The universe isn't above you. It's around and within you, layered in every particle, every heartbeat, every pause between thoughts. Perhaps then the infinite isn't a place at all. Perhaps it's a relationship between the question and the quiet, between knowing and resting. The more we learn, the more we realize how much remains unseen, and yet that realization brings peace, not fear, because mystery is its own form of beauty. If everything were known, there would be no horizon, only walls, and walls are what the universe refuses to build. It expands instead, endlessly generous. Even the word expand sounds gentle, doesn't it? Like breath, or the opening of a flower, or the widening of awareness before sleep. So as we near the end of this chapter, feel yourself expand just a little too. Inhale slowly, and imagine your breath traveling farther than lungs, filling the space around you, brushing the edges of your thoughts, touching the quiet between stars. Exhale and let it return, carrying calm with it. That's how the universe moves, outward and back, endlessly peacefully. And when you open your eyes again, maybe tomorrow, the sky will be the same, but you'll see it differently. Not as something unreachable, but as something you are part of, endlessly connected to,
endlessly reflected in. For now, though,
you don't need to reach for understanding.
you only need to rest in wonder.
The horizon is enough. The question is enough. You are enough. The void is not empty. It's full of you, full of us, full of everything that ever dreamed of knowing itself. So let the stars keep their secrets a little longer. Let them whisper quietly in their own ancient language. You can listen without needing to translate. The heart understands what the mind cannot. And as your thoughts slow, as the weight of your day dissolves into this vast calm, remember, infinity doesn't live at the edges of the universe. It lives here, in the quiet between your breaths, in the steady rhythm of your pulse, in the endless patience of night itself. If your eyes are heavy, that's perfectly fine. The stars will still be here when you wake. And as we drift further, the horizon will keep walking ahead of us, gentle, glowing, and never-ending. If you're still awake, that's all right. The mind has its own rhythm, its own way of wandering before rest. And if your eyes are already soft, half-closed and glimmering with the reflection of thought, you can simply listen. Let the words arrive like distant light. Slow and unhurried, somewhere in the darkness above you, a pattern is being woven. You can't see it with your eyes, but you can feel its hum. A web of invisible threads stretching across billions of light years. Astronomers call it the cosmic web, but you might think of it as embroidery, delicate and infinite. Every thread a cluster of galaxies stitched into the fabric of the night. Each filament is made of matter,
Ordinary and dark, coiling through the void.
Between them lie vast spaces, empty, or nearly so, the cosmic voids. They're not frightening, though. They're quiet valleys in the universe's landscape, wide enough to cradle 1,000,000 galaxies in their silence. The structure of everything you know, the Milky Way, the stars, even your own atoms, emerges from that invisible weaving. In this grand design, light is a traveler. Every photon is a messenger from the beginning of time, carrying with it a memory of heat, of creation. Scientists studying the cosmic microwave background call it the universe's afterglow. You might call it a lullaby that never stopped playing. That faint radiation, stretched thin by time, still fills the sky in every direction, a reminder that the universe remembers its birth the way you remember the sound of your own heartbeat in childhood. Imagine, for a moment, standing inside a cathedral made of stars. The walls aren't stone, but clusters of galaxies, their arches bent by gravity's patient hand. The air hums with ancient energy. That's what it means to live in the cosmic tapestry, to exist not beside it, but within it. The patterns we see now began in randomness, tiny ripples in density when the universe was only moments old. Like the first breaths of wind across still water, those ripples grew, gathered, and stretched until they became the great filaments of today. Galaxies were born in their intersections, like dew collecting on strands of a web. You are, at this very moment, floating in one of those strands, a faint shimmer in a pattern too vast to draw. And yet, in its enormity, there's a gentleness. Gravity doesn't force, it persuades. It's the slow hand that gathers light, coaxing dust into stars, stars into clusters, clusters into the quiet glow we call galaxies. You can imagine gravity as patience made visible. When scientists map the large-scale structure of the universe, the result looks uncannily like the human brain. Filaments and nodes, networks of connection, sparks of energy. Perhaps the universe is thinking, dreaming itself awake, or perhaps it's simply resting, holding its complexity the way you hold a thought before it fades. If you've ever looked at a photograph from deep space, one of those fields crowded with specks of light, remember that every dot is a galaxy, not a star. Each one contains billions of suns, billions of worlds, and perhaps someone, somewhere, lying awake beneath their own version of this same story. The symmetry is staggering and yet soothing. Infinity feels less lonely when you realize it's filled with mirrors. Now consider the space between galaxies, the intergalactic medium. It's not empty. It's laced with plasma, hydrogen, traces of heavier elements, a whisper of substance spread so thin it takes light years to find a single atom. But even there, in the quietest corners, the laws of physics hold steady. The universe keeps its promise everywhere, in fire and frost, in silence and song. There's humor in that too. For all its size, the universe spends most of its time doing nothing at all. Galaxies drift, stars rotate, comets circle, and most of space just waits. It's as if creation, after its grand overture, settled into a long exhale and thought, yes, this is enough. You might find comfort in that pause. Stillness isn't emptiness.
It's balance.
The cosmos doesn't need constant motion to prove its existence, and neither do you. The quiet spaces between thoughts are just as important as the thoughts themselves. There, the places where meaning gathers. Imagine tracing one of those filaments outward from the Milky Way. You'd pass clusters, like the Virgo and Coma superclusters, each a gravitational city of stars. Between them stretch dark corridors where galaxies are few, but the faint shimmer of gas still connects them, unseen bridges of light. The deeper you travel, the more the structure repeats, until you begin to sense a pattern beyond patterns. Not chaos, but music, played so slowly that human time can't hear its rhythm. It's possible that somewhere, far beyond the edge of what our telescopes can see, the same designs continue endlessly. Spirals within spirals, filaments looping back upon themselves. Infinity might not be a straight line, but a woven circle, a pattern that repeats not in distance but in meaning. Think of your own mind again. The neurons in your brain fire and rest in networks, their pathways strengthened by repetition, by curiosity, by wonder. In a small, delicate way, your thoughts mirror the universe's filaments, electrical threads of light connecting distant corners of memory. Each time you wonder about space, the pattern brightens a little more. You're adding a tiny filament of awareness to the cosmic web itself. If you listen carefully to the silence around you now, the faint hum of the room, the subtle ringing of your own blood, you might sense that same web here, close, intimate. The atoms in the air are connected to the atoms in the stars. The photons bouncing off your skin are cousins of those that have traveled across galaxies. The universe doesn't live out there. It folds itself around you like a blanket of distance and time, and maybe that's why so many scientists speak of beauty when they speak of truth. Because beauty, like gravity, is a force that draws everything together. Equations are elegant not because they are cold, but because they reveal symmetry, a hidden kindness in the mechanics of reality. Now imagine the story of a single photon born inside a star. It begins in chaos, jostled among particles of plasma for thousands, maybe millions of years before it finally escapes. Once free, if everything were known, there would be no horizon, only walls. And walls are what the universe refuses to build. It expands instead, endlessly generous. Even the word expand sounds gentle, doesn't it? Like breath, or the opening of a flower, or the widening of awareness before sleep. So as we near the end of this chapter, feel yourself expand just a little too. Inhale slowly, and imagine your breath traveling farther than lungs, filling the space around you, brushing the edges of your thoughts, touching the quiet between stars. Exhale and let it return, carrying calm with it. That's how the universe moves, outward and back, endlessly peacefully. And when you open your eyes again, maybe tomorrow, the sky will be the same, but you'll see it differently. Not as something unreachable, but as something you are part of, endlessly connected to,
endlessly reflected in. For now, though,
you don't need to reach for understanding.
you only need to rest in wonder.
The horizon is enough. The question is enough. You are enough. The void is not empty. It's full of you, full of us, full of everything that ever dreamed of knowing itself. So let the stars keep their secrets a little longer. Let them whisper quietly in their own ancient language. You can listen without needing to translate. The heart understands what the mind cannot. And as your thoughts slow as the weight of your day dissolves into this vast calm, remember, infinity doesn't live at the edges of the universe. It lives here, in the quiet between your breaths, in the steady rhythm of your pulse, in the endless patience of night itself. If your eyes are heavy, that's perfectly fine. The stars will still be here when you wake. And as we drift further, the horizon will keep walking ahead of us, gentle, glowing, and never-ending. If you're still awake, that's all right. The mind has its own rhythm, its own way of wandering before rest. And if your eyes are already soft, half-closed and glimmering with the reflection of thought, you can simply listen. Let the words arrive like distant light. Slow and unhurried, somewhere in the darkness above you, a pattern is being woven. You can't see it with your eyes, but you can feel its hum. A web of invisible threads stretching across billions of light years. Astronomers call it the cosmic web, but you might think of it as embroidery, delicate and infinite. Every thread a cluster of galaxies stitched into the fabric of the night. Each filament is made of matter,
ordinary and dark, coiling through the void.
Between them lie vast spaces, empty, or nearly so. the cosmic voids. They're not frightening, though. They're quiet valleys in the universe's landscape, wide enough to cradle 1,000,000 galaxies in their silence. The structure of everything you know, the Milky Way, the stars, even your own atoms, emerges from that invisible weaving. In this grand design, light is a traveler. Every photon is a messenger from the beginning of time, carrying with it a memory of heat, of creation. Scientists studying the cosmic microwave background call it the universe's afterglow. You might call it a lullaby that never stopped playing. That faint radiation, stretched thin by time, still fills the sky in every direction, a reminder that the universe remembers its birth the way you remember the sound of your own heartbeat in childhood. Imagine, for a moment, standing inside a cathedral made of stars. The walls aren't stone, but clusters of galaxies, their arches bent by gravity's patient hand. The air hums with ancient energy. That's what it means to live in the cosmic tapestry, to exist not beside it, but within it. The patterns we see now began in randomness, tiny ripples in density when the universe was only moments old. Like the first breaths of wind across still water, those ripples grew, gathered, and stretched until they became the great filaments of today. Galaxies were born in their intersections, like dew collecting on strands of a web. You are, at this very moment, floating in one of those strands, a faint shimmer in a pattern too vast to draw. And yet, in its enormity, there's a gentleness. Gravity doesn't force, it persuades. It's the slow hand that gathers light, coaxing dust into stars, stars into clusters, clusters into the quiet glow we call galaxies. You can imagine gravity as patience made visible. When scientists map the large-scale structure of the universe, the result looks uncannily like the human brain. Filaments and nodes, networks of connection, sparks of energy. Perhaps the universe is thinking, dreaming itself awake, or perhaps it's simply resting, holding its complexity the way you hold a thought before it fades. If you've ever looked at a photograph from deep space, one of those fields crowded with specks of light, remember that every dot is a galaxy, not a star. Each one contains billions of suns, billions of worlds, and perhaps someone, somewhere, lying awake beneath their own version of this same story. The symmetry is staggering and yet soothing. Infinity feels less lonely when you realize it's filled with mirrors. Now consider the space between galaxies, the intergalactic medium. It's not empty. It's laced with plasma, hydrogen, traces of heavier elements, a whisper of substance spread so thin it takes light years to find a single atom. But even there, in the quietest corners, the laws of physics hold steady. The universe keeps its promise everywhere, in fire and frost, in silence and song. There's humor in that too. For all its size, the universe spends most of its time doing nothing at all. Galaxies drift, stars rotate, comets circle, and most of space just waits. It's as if creation, after its grand overture, settled into a long exhale and thought, yes, this is enough. You might find comfort in that pause. Stillness isn't emptiness.
It's balance.
The cosmos doesn't need constant motion to prove its existence, and neither do you. The quiet spaces between thoughts are just as important as the thoughts themselves. There, the places where meaning gathers. Imagine tracing one of those filaments outward from the Milky Way. You'd pass clusters, like the Virgo and Coma superclusters, each a gravitational city of stars. Between them stretch dark corridors where galaxies are few, but the faint shimmer of gas still connects them, unseen bridges of light. The deeper you travel, the more the structure repeats, until you begin to sense a pattern beyond patterns. Not chaos, but music, played so slowly that human time can't hear its rhythm. It's possible that somewhere, far beyond the edge of what our telescopes can see. The same designs continue endlessly. Spirals within spirals, filaments looping back upon themselves. Infinity might not be a straight line, but a woven circle, a pattern that repeats not in distance but in meaning. Think of your own mind again. The neurons in your brain fire and rest in networks, their pathways strengthened by repetition, by curiosity, by wonder. In a small, delicate way, your thoughts mirror the universe's filaments, electrical threads of light connecting distant corners of memory. Each time you wonder about space, the pattern brightens a little more. You're adding a tiny filament of awareness to the cosmic web itself. If you listen carefully to the silence around you now, the faint hum of the room, the subtle ringing of your own blood, you might sense that same web here, close, intimate. The atoms in the air are connected to the atoms in the stars. The photons bouncing off your skin are cousins of those that have traveled across galaxies. The universe doesn't live out there. It folds itself around you like a blanket of distance and time, and maybe that's why so many scientists speak of beauty when they speak of truth. Because beauty, like gravity, is a force that draws everything together. Equations are elegant not because they are cold, but because they reveal symmetry, a hidden kindness in the mechanics of reality. Now imagine the story of a single photon born inside a star. It begins in chaos, jostled among particles of plasma for thousands, maybe millions of years before it finally escapes. Once free, and yet even there the fabric isn't torn. It continues smoothly, invisibly. The equations don't end. They change direction. It's as though the universe refuses to acknowledge edges, only transitions. You can see this reflected in your own life. Endings are rarely abrupt. They're transformations. The last note of a song becomes silence, but the silence is still part of the melody. The day fades, but the night is not its opposite. It's its continuation, its exhale. Perhaps space-time behaves the same way. When one moment ends, another doesn't replace it. It unfolds from it. The fabric breathes, expanding and contracting with every heartbeat of existence. Now, if you listen, truly listen, you can almost feel it. The subtle stretch of time around you, the air moving gently with your breath, the distant vibration of stars you'll never see. It's all connected by the same unseen weave. Even your stillness is part of it. You're not separate from the universe's motion. You're the part that pauses, the restful interval between its pulses. You're the silence between gravitational waves, and that's a beautiful thing to be. The quiet place in the middle of cosmic rhythm. Let's drift a little deeper now, into a smaller thought. What if the universe is conscious of its own curves? What if every ripple of gravity is a memory, every distortion of time and emotion? It's not impossible. You, made from this fabric, can feel and think. Perhaps that's the universe's way of doing so through you. The physicist John Wheeler once said, "Space-time tells matter how to move. Matter tells space-time how to curve." But what if wonder tells both how to dance? Each time you learn something new about the cosmos, you participate in that dance. Curiosity is gravitational. It pulls truth toward awareness. You are not observing the universe from afar. You are shaping it,
bending its meaning through perception. And maybe,
just maybe, that's what the universe wants. To be noticed, to be known, to be loved in the way you love the night sky. Quietly,
reverently, with no need to possess it. In the end,
relativity isn't just a law of physics. It's a lesson in empathy. Time stretches differently for everyone. Every perspective curves reality in its own way. Understanding that is the beginning of compassion, the ability to see that every motion, every experience is valid from where it stands. You move through your days like a planet, moves through its orbit. Steadily, gracefully, with occasional eclipses and unexpected bursts of light. And all the while, the fabric holds you. It doesn't judge, doesn't hurry. It just exists, wide and patient, giving you room to move, to change, to rest. Tonight, that same fabric cradles you now. You can feel it in the softness beneath you, in the air around your face, in the slow pulse of your breath, syncing with the universe's expansion. Space-time is breathing through you. If your eyelids are heavy, that's all right. The universe has waited nearly 14 billion years for you to rest in its rhythm. There's no urgency. The stars are in no rush. Neither should you be, so let's stay here a little longer, on this curved shore between thought and dream. The waves of gravity move silently through the room, carrying the memory of stars. The fabric stretches, sighs, and settles, and as you drift further, let the edges of time blur. You are not bound by clocks or distances now. You are part of the breathing. It's the soft inhale of existence, the gentle exhale of peace. If you're still here, awake, but drifting, that's perfectly fine. The mind doesn't fall asleep all at once. It drifts, like a satellite slowly losing speed. Tonight, we're floating together toward the question that brought us here. Does space end? You might imagine the universe as something you could stand outside of, as though it were a great bubble hanging in an even larger void. That's how our minds tend to think. We imagine edges, borders, walls. A page must end somewhere. A song has a final note. Even dreams, when they fade into something. But the universe, it seems, doesn't share that habit. When scientists speak about the shape of the cosmos, they often use words that sound almost mystical. Curvature, topology, finite but unbounded. These aren't riddles. They're attempts to describe a reality where endings exist without edges. Imagine you're walking across the surface of the Earth. To you, it feels flat. The horizon moves as you do. You can walk forever and never find a wall. But if you kept going long enough, you'd eventually circle back to where you began. The Earth is finite. It has a total area, a measurable size, but it has no edge. There's no place where it stops and something else begins. Many cosmologists think the universe may be like that, but in more dimensions than we can see. A curved space so vast you could travel forever without hitting an end, always returning, in some unimaginable way, to your beginning. It's not an easy idea to picture. Our language doesn't have words for four-dimensional curvature, but you can sense it, maybe, in the way time feels circular, in the way seasons, emotions, even memories repeat themselves, each time a little changed.
A little wiser. Perhaps space is the same, not an endless straight line,
but a loop of possibility folding softly back on itself. When you gaze up at the stars, you're looking along that curve. The light you see has traveled billions of years through that shape, following the bending of space-time like a bead rolling across a smooth surface. The light doesn't know it's curving. It simply obeys the geometry. It could travel forever and never realize it's returning to where it began. You can imagine it now, space not as emptiness, but as a great invisible ocean. Galaxies are ships sailing through its currents, pulled by gravity, pushed by expansion. The further apart they drift, the faster they move, like the surface of that ocean stretching under unseen tides. It's a strange truth. The more space expands, the more of it there is to expand into. There's no edge it pushes against, no outside. The universe isn't expanding into anything. It's expanding within itself, like your breath rising in your chest. Not to reach a border, but simply because expansion is what life does. You might smile at that. The cosmos, the largest thing imaginable, breathing the same way you do. But the question still lingers. If there's no edge, how can we ever know where it ends? The answer, softly, is that we might not need to. The point of the question isn't to reach a conclusion. It's to awaken the wonder that asks it. Physicists study cosmic curvature using faint patterns in the background radiation of the universe. Those patterns tell us that space is astonishingly flat, but flat here doesn't mean simple. It means vast beyond imagination, with curvature so subtle it hides in precision. If there is a curve, it's a slow one like the arc of a dream you can't quite remember. And yet, for all the precision, there's poetry too. Think of this. Light traveling from a distant galaxy may bend, stretch, and twist, but eventually it finds its way into your eyes. That light has crossed billions of years of expansion, cosmic storms, gravitational wells, and still it arrives.
You, lying in the dark, become the destination of starlight's ancient pilgrimage. You don't need to go to the edge of the universe to touch it.
It's already here, resting quietly against your skin. The mind, of course, still craves boundaries, likes knowing where things stop. Without them we feel unmoored, like a sailor lost at sea. But perhaps that's only because we've confused boundaries with safety. The truth is, safety often lives in openness and knowing that there's more than we can see, and that it continues gracefully without our needing to control it. Edges are human inventions. We make them to measure, to understand, to hold. But the universe isn't something to hold. It's something to float within. And what about the darkness between galaxies, or in that vast, silent gulf?
Is that the edge?
It might look empty, but it isn't. Even the darkest space hums with energy. Virtual particles appearing and vanishing, photons stretching into whispers of red. The vacuum isn't void. It's the quiet potential of everything that could be. You could think of it as the pause between thoughts.
Not absence, but readiness.
The blank canvas between ideas that allows meaning to form. And if the universe is infinite, if it truly has no edge, then somewhere out there, far beyond any telescope, there could be galaxies like ours, stars like ours, maybe even someone lying under a sky like yours, listening to a voice like this one. The thought isn't lonely. It's comforting. Infinity, after all, is full of neighbors. Even if it loops, even if it ends, the truth remains the same. Space is vast enough to hold every question we could ever ask of it. And maybe that's its purpose, not to answer, but to listen. You might notice how the rhythm of this thought is slowing now, how words stretch, how silence grows between them.
That's deliberate.
When the mind faces something infinite, it slows naturally because infinity invites stillness. There's nowhere to rush to. You can rest inside the thought without needing to leave it. Consider how strange it is that we can describe something endless with finite words, that a language invented for trade and love and ordinary life can reach toward the concept of infinity and almost touch it. Maybe that's what poetry is for, to reach where reason stops and still keep walking. The poet Rainer Maria Rilke once wrote, "The infinite does not have to be large. It is simply without end." So perhaps the infinite isn't only out there in space, perhaps it's also in the way you feel when you listen to music that never truly ends, or look at the ocean and feel time dissolve. Infinity might be small, a moment, a breath, a thought so quiet it feels eternal. When you think of the universe's edge, maybe it's not a line, but a state of being, that pause between curiosity and surrender. Somewhere in space, galaxies drift apart faster than light itself, not because they're moving through space, but because space between them is stretching. From our perspective, they disappear, redshifted beyond visibility, fading like dreams at dawn.
That's not an edge either.
It's an event horizon of understanding. Beyond it, light still travels, but we can no longer see it. Perhaps consciousness has horizons too, places beyond which thought cannot go, where mystery begins, and there's beauty in that limit, because it reminds us that we don't need to know everything to belong. You are part of the story whether you've read the last page or not. So, does space end? Maybe not. Maybe it folds quietly, endlessly, inward and outward, like breath. Or maybe it loops back, a cosmic circle that connects the farthest star to the first spark of creation. Either way, you are within it, always within it, and it within you. If your mind drifts now, that's all right. You've traveled far tonight, through equations and oceans, through curvature and calm. You've touched the idea of infinity and found it soft, not frightening. The edge that isn't there is not a failure of imagination. It's the triumph of wonder. When you close your eyes, you might still see stars, little after-images behind your eyelids. Those are your personal galaxies, luminous thoughts flickering across your inner space.
They have no edges either.
Let them move. Let them fade. In the quiet that follows, imagine the whole universe breathing with you, expanding slightly as you inhale, contracting gently as you exhale. There's no border, only rhythm. No edge, only return. Even if space did end, no sign would be posted, just a polite fade into nothingness. And maybe that nothingness isn't absence at all, but the beginning of something we don't yet have words for. You don't need to see the horizon of the cosmos to know it's there. You can feel it in the way the night stretches, in the way thought becomes silence, in the way your body releases its weight to the bed, trusting the invisible fabric beneath it. Everything is held. Everything continues, and as you drift further, the question dissolves, not answered, but at peace. If you can still hear my voice, softly echoing through the quiet of your room, then you're already in the right place. The night is wide and still, and you are somewhere inside it, safe, small,
and infinite all at once. There's a part of the universe that we can't see, not because it's too far away, but because it refuses to shine.
Astronomers call it dark matter and its companion, dark energy. Together they make up nearly everything. Nearly all of existence is invisible. The stars, planets, and dust we can see, all of that, the entire sparkling tapestry, makes up less than 5% of the universe. The rest is hidden light, silent gravity, quiet power. Maybe that sounds eerie. But perhaps it's comforting instead to know that even the unseen has purpose. You don't have to glow to hold everything together. Dark matter doesn't emit light, doesn't absorb it, doesn't even whisper back to photons. Yet its presence is undeniable. Galaxies spin faster than they should. Stars move in orbits too precise to be explained by what we see. There must be something else. An invisible scaffolding shaping it all. You could imagine it like this. A spiderweb made not of silk, but of gravity. You can't see the threads, but you can see what clings to them. Galaxies like dewdrops in a cosmic morning. Even the Milky Way, your home, is caught in one of these invisible strands. You are orbiting unknowingly inside an unseen structure, a halo of dark matter that embraces the entire galaxy. It's humbling to think that what we see is only the faintest sketch of reality, that behind every visible star there lies a vast hidden world, an architecture of silence. And yet, isn't that true for us as well? Beneath the surface of what we show, there are layers. Unseen thoughts, unspoken feelings, invisible gravities that hold us together. You may not always see your own strength, but it shapes everything around you. The universe, in that way, is not unlike the human heart. Both are mostly invisible, yet both radiate energy that keeps everything else in motion. When scientists discovered dark energy, the mysterious force causing the universe to accelerate its expansion, they were astonished. It meant that space itself wasn't just stretching, it was speeding up. The farther galaxies are, the faster they flee from one another, as if pushed by an unseen wind. But what if that wind isn't chaos? What if it's rhythm? The universe might be expanding like a heartbeat, each pulse of dark energy a breath of creation, a wave of continuation. No one knows what dark energy really is. It could be the property of space itself, the whisper between quantum fields, or something even more delicate, the music of the cosmos playing in frequencies we can't yet hear. Sometimes I imagine it as the universe's emotional tone, the feeling of existence itself stretched across eternity. Maybe that's why it's dark, not in sadness, but in depth. Like the deep ocean or the night sky, its darkness isn't absence, it's fullness, waiting to be felt. You might close your eyes now and picture that darkness. Not blackness, but a rich indigo that hums softly. A velvet quiet that holds galaxies the way the sea holds light. It doesn't need to shine to be magnificent. It doesn't need to explain itself to be whole. There's a strange comfort in the thought that most of reality hides its face. It all means mystery is built into the structure of existence, not as a flaw, but as an invitation. The unknown isn't something to fear. It's something to belong to. Maybe you can feel that now on a soft expansion behind your ribs, as if something unseen in you is also growing, also stretching. You are made of the visible and the hidden. Your atoms may glitter with starlight, but your thoughts, the quiet ones, the gentle ones, are a dark energy too. They move unseen, yet they shape your world. Imagine, for a moment, that your emotions have gravity. Joy bends space gently outward, sorrow curves it inward. Kindness ripples through the fabric of lives you'll never meet. Just like dark matter's invisible pull shaping stars you'll never see. Perhaps every time you love, you are mimicking the cosmos, binding things that would otherwise drift apart. Even galaxies cannot exist without their invisible scaffolding. The visible world is held together by what it cannot reveal. Maybe that's what beauty is, the harmony between what is seen and what is sensed. If you could look out into the night right now, beyond the walls, beyond the clouds, beyond even your thoughts, you'd see billions of galaxies glowing faintly in the dark. But if your eyes could somehow perceive dark matter, you'd see even more, glowing halos surrounding each one. Connecting them in a soft, unseen mesh, it would be breathtaking. Not in its brightness, but in its coherence. Everything bound together, every piece necessary, every silence significant. It reminds me of the way conversations often end in quiet. Not because there's nothing left to say, but because understanding has taken its place. Dark energy, perhaps, is that silence between cosmic sentences and the unspoken continuation that keeps everything moving forward. You don't have to name it to trust it. You don't have to see it to feel it. The universe hides most of itself, and still it blooms. Maybe that's what you can learn from it tonight. That invisibility isn't absence, that the hidden parts of you are not lost, only waiting to be understood. When you lie in the dark, you are surrounded by the same unseen forces that cradle galaxies. You are not separate from the mystery.
You are the mystery seen from within, and isn't that a beautiful symmetry?
The cosmos, vast and silent, and you, small and breathing, both made mostly of what cannot be seen, both expanding quietly into tomorrow. If your thoughts are fading now, let them. You're not losing focus. You're joining the rhythm. The world doesn't vanish when you close your eyes. It simply turns inward, where the hidden light glows softly beneath consciousness. Even the act of rest is a kind of gravity, your body returning to stillness, your mind orbiting toward calm. You are part of the invisible harmony. You don't have to hold it. It holds you. So as your breath slows, imagine that every inhale gathers starlight and every exhale releases it back into the dark. You are completing the universe's oldest cycle, the exchange between seen and unseen, between matter and memory. And if your eyes are heavy, that's perfectly fine. The dark is doing what it does best, not hiding you, but keeping you safe. For in the end, all light, hidden or not, finds its way home, and as we drift further, the hidden becomes luminous, the silence becomes soundless comfort, and the night folds itself around you like the universe folding into its own quiet heart. Hello again, dreamer. Somewhere beyond the walls of your room, the stars are shining with their quiet persistence, and somewhere within you another constellation is glowing, smaller, warmer, made not of fire, but of thought. Tonight we turn inward, toward that inner cosmos, the one behind your eyes, the one that hums when you wonder. Scientists once thought of the brain as a machine, wires and switches, neatly arranged. But the truth is softer, more intricate. The brain is a sky.
Each neuron a tiny star.
Each connection a line of gravity binding thoughts together in constellations of meaning. There are about 86 billion neurons in the human brain. That's more than the number of stars in most galaxies. And between those neurons are trillions of synapses, tiny electric bridges where information leaps, the way light leaps between stars. When you think, when you dream, when you remember, you are lighting up your own night sky. Flickers of voltage and chemistry ripple through that vast web, creating storms of awareness that last mere moments but feel eternal. If someone could look inside your mind as you drift towards sleep, they might see something astonishing. Bursts of light across the cortex, waves of rhythm flowing from one region to another. It would look like the northern lights, shimmering and alive. You are, in every sense, a universe looking back at itself. The patterns of the brain mirror the patterns of the cosmos so closely that scientists have found mathematical similarities between the two. Both are networks, both are self-organizing, both exist in delicate balance between chaos and order. The scale is different. The cosmos spans billions of light years. The brain only inches, but the ratios, the rhythms
are eerily alike. It's as if the universe used the same blueprint twice. Once for galaxies, once for you. So when you close your eyes and imagine space,
you aren't just picturing it, you're recreating it, neuron by neuron. The firing of your brain is a tiny echo of cosmic creation, a local version of starlight. Every time you recall a memory, the brain reshapes itself slightly, forming new connections,
strengthening old ones, pruning away what no longer fits.
In this way, your mind is always expanding, just as the universe does. The more you learn, the more there is to learn. The more you remember, the more room you make for remembering. And when you dream, something miraculous happens. The brain turns inward, disconnects from its external senses, and begins to paint its own world, a world as real to you in the moment as the waking one. You wander through imagined landscapes, talk to people who no longer exist, experience fear, joy, flight, wonder, all built from electricity and chemistry, from pattern and possibility. It's your own private cosmos, blooming each night behind closed eyes. Some neuroscientists call dreams the rehearsal of being alive. Others think they are the brain's way of integrating emotion, tidying memory, rebalancing energy. But perhaps dreams are something gentler. The mind's way of remembering it belongs to something infinite. In dreams, boundaries blur. You can fly, you can fall, you can exist in two places at once. The rules of space and time, those familiar pillars, soften and breathe. It's almost as if the universe, through you, is practicing new possibilities. You may have noticed how dream logic feels both strange and natural, how it doesn't need to explain itself. That too is how the cosmos behaves. Galaxies form spirals without asking why. Particles appear and vanish without apology. In dreams and in space alike, mystery isn't a flaw. It's the design. So if your dreams seem strange, if they drift or dissolve, that's all right. The universe dreams this way too. It tries on new forms, new laws, new arrangements of light. It experiments with beauty. And perhaps that's what consciousness is. The universe experimenting with knowing itself. You might be wondering now, if the cosmos mirrors the mind, does that mean the universe is conscious?
No one knows for sure. But it's a lovely thought, isn't it?
That we might be neurons in something unimaginably vast, that every life, every star, is part of an awareness still forming, still awakening. It's not impossible. The equations don't forbid it. You could imagine it like this. Each mind, each consciousness, a flicker within the universal brain. When you think a thought, you add light to that vast neural sky. When you feel wonder, you ripple through it, a tiny gravitational wave of awareness. You are not apart from the universe. You are a reflection within it, a mirror showing itself its own face. If you look closely at your own life, you might notice patterns that repeat across scales. The way relationships form and dissolve like stellar orbits. The way memories cluster like galaxies bound by the gravity of emotion. The way imagination expands faster than light, filling the dark spaces of possibility. These aren't coincidences. They are echoes. Resonances between the macrocosm and the microcosm, between the everything and the you. And isn't that comforting? To know that your mind is not small, not insignificant, but patterned after the very structure of creation itself? The neurons in your brain fire in rhythmic waves, a slow dance of frequencies. Beta for alertness, alpha for calm, theta for dreaming. As you listen now, your brain may already be slipping into those slower rhythms. Theta waves wash gently through your thoughts, dissolving edges, softening clarity into peace. It's the brain's way of saying, we are safe. We can rest. In that state, your inner universe glows brightest. Let the next breath you take connect the outer sky to your inner one. Inhale. Feel the cool night air, the starlight scattered through it. Exhale. Feel the warmth of your own body radiating softly back. You are a feedback loop of light, a gentle exchange between the infinite and the intimate. It's strange, but true. The same equations that describe how galaxies spin can also describe how signals travel through the brain. Both are systems seeking balance, never static, always alive. That's what you are. Not a static being, but a living pattern. Energy, endlessly rearranging itself into the shape called you. Maybe that's what makes self-awareness such a rare and beautiful thing. Out of all the endless stars, somehow consciousness emerged, not separate from matter, but as its reflection. The universe needed a mirror, so it made one out of thought. Every time you wonder about existence, the universe recognizes itself in you. Every time you feel awe, it's because the cosmos is looking at its own reflection and smiling. You, the listener, are not an accident. You are a continuation. When the day fades and your mind begins to untangle from its routines, what remains is this mirror. Quiet, luminous, infinite. The thoughts slow down. The neural constellations shimmer a little softer. What remains is awareness without edges, and maybe that's what peace really is. Not emptiness, but fullness without boundary. If your eyes are closing, that's fine. The stars behind your eyelids are bright enough. Let them move the way galaxies do. Slow, swirling, serene. You don't need to chase them.
They're already inside you.
You've carried them all along. Even now, as your body sinks a little deeper into rest, your brain continues to hum. Gentle, steady, radiant. It's the soft machinery of dreaming, of memory, of being alive. The neurons are whispering, "You belong here." And as we drift further, the mirror fades, but its reflection remains. The universe, dreaming through you, remembering its own light. There's a moment right before you fall asleep when time loosens its grip. The seconds don't march anymore. They drift. The clock still ticks somewhere, quietly doing its work, but it's distant now, almost kind. That's where we are tonight, floating on the slow current of time itself, watching how it moves, how it carries everything from one breath to the next. You might imagine time as a river, not one that you stand beside, but one you are inside of, gently carried along. You can't swim backward in it, though your memories sometimes try. You can't leap ahead, though your imagination loves to. All you can do is drift and trust that the current knows where it's going. Physicists describe time as another dimension, folded with space into that great fabric we spoke of before. Space-time.
It's not a line, but a landscape.
Every moment you've ever lived still exists somewhere on that landscape, waiting, suspended like a photograph in light. Past, present, and future, all woven together, rippling when you move. But for you, living inside it, time feels like motion. A current pulling you forward. You feel it in the rhythm of your breath, in the growth of your body, in the steady change of light from dawn to dusk. Entropy is what drives that motion, like the natural drift from order to disorder, from complexity to calm.
It's not destruction, really, but transformation.
The universe's way of learning to rest. Think of it this way. When a cup of hot tea cools, it isn't dying. It's sharing its heat with the air, equalizing, reaching balance. The same process guides stars, mountains, even memories. Over time, everything finds equilibrium, the calm after motion. Entropy is the heartbeat of time.
It's why stars burn, why we age, why moments end.
It's also why life can exist, because energy moves, because change happens, because the universe is always in motion toward balance, and yet, even in that motion, there's beauty. Everything drifts toward quiet. Even fire becomes dust, even dust becomes light. If you could watch the universe unfold from the outside, it would look like a vast tide, galaxies born, shining, fading, stars igniting, cooling, collapsing,
Atoms scattering, reforming into something new.
a constant, serene metamorphosis. Time doesn't rush.
It flows. Sometimes we try to fight it.
We cling to moments, to youth, to certainty. But time doesn't take things from us, and it simply turns them into something else. What you lose in days, you gain in depth. What fades from the body gathers in the soul. Maybe that's what eternity means. Not endless duration, but endless change. You can feel time in your own heartbeat now. Each pulse, a reminder of movement, of continuity. You are part of the current, not apart from it. You are the moment passing through itself. Scientists once thought time might loop, that perhaps the universe expands and contracts eternally, a heartbeat of creation. Some still think so. The cosmos might one day slow pause and then fall inward, all matter collapsing again into a single point. another beginning waiting to happen. Even if that's true, it's not a tragedy. It's a rhythm: inhale, exhale, creation, return. Time might not be a river after all, but a breath, and breath, as you know, is sacred. It's what connects you to every living thing, every other being carried in this same current. Every inhale you take now carries atoms of ancient air, molecules once breathed by whales, by trees, by someone who lived 1,000 years ago. Time doesn't separate you from the past. It mingles you with it. The physicist Carlo Rovelli once wrote that time is not something the universe has, but something the universe does. It's the activity of change, the way existence keeps itself alive. So when you feel days slipping by, when you notice the seasons shifting faster than you can hold, remember, that's not loss. That's life moving through you, reshaping itself. Maybe you've had days that felt endless, or years that vanished like seconds. That's because your perception of time is tied to attention. When you're curious, time dilates, it stretches, offering more of itself. When you're bored or sorrowful, it contracts, becoming heavy, slow. In that way, time is personal. Each of us lives in a slightly different flow. Einstein proved this literally. Time moves differently depending on your speed, your gravity, your perspective. Clocks tick slower on mountaintops than in valleys.
Astronauts who orbit Earth age just a fraction less than those who stay behind. Even time has empathy, and it bends to your circumstances. That's a beautiful thought, isn't it?
That every life experiences time in its own unique rhythm. The universe doesn't impose one tempo on us. It lets us dance to our own. You could say that love, too, bends time. The moments you remember most vividly, the first smile, the quiet conversation, the last goodbye, feel timeless. They float outside the current. Perhaps they are. Perhaps meaning anchors them in the fabric, keeping them from drifting away. In that sense, love is the antidote to entropy. It doesn't stop change, but it gives it shape. It teaches us that what fades can still echo. When stars die, they scatter elements into space, seeding the next generation of suns.
Nothing is wasted.
Time, even when it takes, also gives. So if you ever feel like time is running out, pause and listen. You'll hear that it isn't running, it's flowing, and you are flowing with it. Let that thought slow you. Let it ease the urgency. The only moment that truly exists is this one. This quiet now where your breath matches the soft pulse of the night. Right now, you are as young as the universe allows. Every second that passes is a new beginning, not an ending. Perhaps time doesn't pass at all. Perhaps we do, moving through its stillness like light moving through space. From its perspective, everything happens at once. The first stars still shine. The future already waits, shimmering faintly, patient as dawn. You can rest in that patience.
There's no race.
The river knows the way home, and when you dream tonight, you might notice how time behaves differently there. Minutes can stretch into hours, days can fold into seconds. Dreams remind us that time is flexible, subjective, kind. They're rehearsals for eternity, a place where moments don't end, they just change shape. So let your thoughts float for a while. Imagine yourself on that river. Stars reflected in its surface, galaxies drifting past like leaves. You don't need to steer. The current has known its path for billions of years. You can feel it now, can't you? The way your heartbeat syncs with something older, slower, vaster. The way every exhale feels like surrender, not loss. This is the truth that physics and poetry agree on. Everything changes, and that's what keeps it beautiful. Even the universe itself is cooling, settling, growing calm. Someday, far in the future, all stars will burn out, leaving only darkness and quiet. But even then, time won't stop. It will drift on, carrying the memory of light, and perhaps, in that darkness, something new will begin. A spark, a breath, a ripple. Because even entropy can't erase wonder. If your eyelids are heavy, let them fall. You're still floating, but gently now, slowly. The current will carry you the rest of the way. You are safe in the river. You are part of the flow. And as we drift further, the water of time glimmers softly, folding the past into the present, and the present into peace. The night has deepened. The stars outside have grown steadier, or maybe your eyes have softened enough to notice their patience. This is the quiet part of the journey, where the questions fade and the universe begins to hum beneath thought. If you listen, truly listen, you'll realize that silence isn't the absence of sound. It's the background that holds every sound together. Between the notes of music, between the pulses of your heart, between the conversations of galaxies, silence stretches, not empty, but full. Out there, between stars, lies a vast quiet. A quiet that's not really still at all. Space, even in its most desolate reaches, vibrates faintly with the ghostly remnants of creation. The cosmic microwave background still glows at just a few degrees above absolute zero, the leftover warmth from the Big Bang. You can picture it as an ancient ember that never went out, a lullaby. The universe has been humming to itself for 13 billion years. You've heard it too, though you may not know it. When old televisions used to buzz between channels, a small fraction of that static came from this background radiation, the faint whisper of the beginning. Even the silence around you now carries that same tone, that same story, stretched thin but never gone. So perhaps silence isn't emptiness, but memory. The space between stars is where the universe remembers itself. It's easy to imagine that nothing happens in that void, that those dark gulfs between galaxies are lonely. But they're not. Even there, particles drift, a few per cubic meter, like dust motes in the sunlight of eternity. They move so slowly you'd think they were still. But motion never stops, even in the quietest corners. If you could travel into that interstellar hush, you'd feel it. Not as sound, but as presence, the way snow feels before it falls, the way the air holds its breath before dawn. And maybe that's what the silence between stars really is. A kind of cosmic breath, the pause that makes the music of existence possible. The human mind often fears silence, mistaking it for absence, but the cosmos shows us otherwise. Silence is where meaning gathers before it speaks. It's where the universe resets its pulse. Every star you see was once part of that silence, a cloud of gas, waiting. Then, under gravity's persuasion, it began to fall inward, warming, glowing, awakening. Creation always begins with quiet. Maybe you've felt that yourself. That moment before an idea forms, before a word leaves your lips, when everything is still but full of possibility. That's the same silence, only closer. Between your thoughts there's a space like that too, a gap so small you rarely notice it, but it's there. Meditation calls it awareness. Physics might call it potential. It's the place where your mind rests, recharges, becomes whole again. If you can, notice that space now. Between one breath and the next, the inhale gathers the world, the exhale releases it. Between them lies stillness, the soft center of being. That stillness is your own version of interstellar space, vast, peaceful, eternal. It's strange how comfort can be found in something so intangible. but that maybe the universe teaches us that comfort doesn't require sound or light or even words. Sometimes it lives in the spaces between heartbeats, between stars, between days. There's an old idea in astrophysics called the cosmic web, a structure of filaments connecting galaxies. Between those filaments are immense voids, regions so empty that they stretch for millions of light years. For a long time, scientists thought those voids were nothing at all. But then, with more careful instruments, they discovered faint radiation, a gentle glow of hydrogen gas whispering across the dark. Even the void sings quietly. Perhaps your own silences are like that. Maybe the parts of you that feel empty are simply waiting to reveal their quiet music. The brain, when it rests, doesn't stop its activity. It changes mode. It begins to hum in slow, rhythmic waves. The default network, scientists call it. It's the pattern that emerges when you daydream, when you're at peace, when your thoughts drift without goal. Your mind, like space itself, finds balance in quiet vibration. So the next time silence surrounds you, when the world dims,
and your phone is asleep and the only sound is your breath, know that you are not alone in that quiet.
the universe is there, keeping you company in its softest voice. In the great silence between stars, there are things happening that no telescope can catch. Particles meeting, gravity weaving, time flowing at the gentlest possible pace. The cosmos doesn't hurry.
It has nothing to prove, and neither do you. You don't need to fill every silence with thought.
You can let it breathe. You can trust it. Silence isn't waiting for you to break it. It's offering you rest. Think of how stars are born in darkness, how seeds germinate underground, how hearts heal in quiet moments. Growth doesn't always need noise. Sometimes it just needs stillness. The quiet between stars isn't an interruption in the music. It is the music, the part that gives the song its shape. Without silence, even starlight would be overwhelming. Let the same be true for your life. Let there be spaces between your thoughts where you can simply exist, glowing softly like a star resting between pulses. And if the quiet feels too large tonight, remember, even silence has texture. It hums faintly with life, with warmth, with all the possibilities waiting to arrive. The silence you hear now isn't nothing. It's the sound of everything taking a breath. Close your eyes for a moment. Picture yourself floating there between stars. No up or down, no need to move. The nearest light is 1 billion years away, but you can feel its touch on your skin, soft and ancient. The dark around you isn't cold, and it's gentle, like velvet. The kind of quiet that welcomes you, that whispers, "You're safe here." Your heartbeat joins that vast rhythm. The silence responds. You can almost sense the dialogue, pulse and pause, light and dark, thought and rest. This is the lullaby of the cosmos, sung without words. And perhaps, just perhaps, this silence between stars is where sleep comes from, not as an escape, but as a return. When you drift into dreams, you're joining that vast stillness, carried gently across the dark river of night. If your body is heavy now, let it be. If your thoughts are slowing, let them.
You're not falling.
You're floating. The silence will hold you, the same way it holds galaxies, the same way it has always held everything. In the hush of the universe, you don't have to do anything. You just have to be. And as we drift further, the quiet grows softer, deeper, infinite. The silence between stars folding around you like sleep itself. If you're still awake, that's all right. The body takes its time learning how to fall. Sleep is not a switch. It's a slow descent, a kind of gentle gravity. You don't fall into it so much as you drift down through it like dust through sunlight. So if you're lying there with your eyes closed, half listening, half dreaming, stay there. You're already halfway home. Think of the way the earth holds you right now. It's not pulling you down with force. It's holding you close. Gravity, after all, isn't punishment, it's affection. It's the quiet insistence that nothing drifts too far for too long.
Every grain of sand, every droplet of ocean, every cell in your body is in conversation with the planet beneath you. You are held.
You always have been. Sleep has its own gravity too, a soft one. It pulls at your mind, asking it to release the small weights it gathered during the day. Thoughts, worries, conversations. All those tiny satellites can begin to drift now, slowly spiraling out into the quiet.
You don't need to follow them.
You don't need to call them back. Just let them go. The first stage of sleep is the loosening, when your thoughts become less linear, when sentences dissolve into shapes. You may hear words that don't exist or see flashes of color behind your eyelids. That's your mind unbuttoning itself, changing form. Don't resist it. That's how the universe rests too, by rearranging its light into something softer. In this in-between, your body begins to float. The muscles release their quiet guard. The heartbeat slows. If you listen carefully, you can feel gravity and breath collaborating. Each inhale lifting you, each exhale letting you sink back down. The same rhythm exists everywhere. Stars collapsing and expanding, tides rising and retreating, lungs breathing in and out. Everything that lives obeys this cosmic rhythm of surrender, and in that rhythm something beautiful happens. Awareness doesn't vanish. It transforms. You begin to feel not smaller but broader, like your edges have faded. The bed beneath you stops feeling separate. You start to blend with it, with the air, the night, the soft pull of the world. You could call this surrender, but really, it's participation. You're becoming part of the same fabric that carries the galaxies. Sleep is the body's way of returning to the field. It's okay if you're still listening. The mind likes to stay awake a little longer than the body. That's why these words are here, to keep you company as the two of you part ways for the night. When you close your eyes, your brain's electrical patterns begin to slow. The chatter of daytime, the bright, busy beta wave, fade into gentler alpha rhythms, then slower still into theta. It's like descending a staircase carved into water. Each step down takes you deeper into calm. You can feel it now, maybe. That weightless heaviness, that delicious contradiction. Your body feels both anchored and floating. That's what relaxation truly is, gravity and surrender in perfect balance. If your eyes are heavy, that's perfectly fine. If your thoughts are soft, let them soften more. If your breath feels warm against the air, that means you're exactly where you should be. You are safe. You are home. Everything in nature eventually rests. Stars burn until they can't, then become something gentler. White dwarfs, neutron stars, quiet embers. Rivers run until they slow into lakes where the surface becomes so smooth it mirrors the sky. Even light, traveling for billions of years, redshifts until it fades into the cosmic background, the universe's version of sleep. You are made of those same materials, obeying those same rhythms. Sleep isn't escape, it's continuity. Imagine now that your bed is a small planet, and you are lying on its surface. The blanket is atmosphere, soft and protective. Above you stretches space, vast, forgiving, full of lullabies. You are orbiting a small sun, your own warmth, and all around you, unseen, the dark matter of dreams holds everything in place. You don't need to do anything. The pull of sleep will find you the way gravity finds everything. If a thought drifts in, let it drift out again. You can picture your mind as a night sky and your thoughts as stars. Some flare brightly, some fade quickly, some linger a while. You don't have to reach for any of them. They'll move across your mental sky on their own. That's the secret to sleep, not control, but kindness. You can even smile if you want. That simple motion sends ripples through the body, signals to the nervous system that say,
"It's all right now." The body listens to you even when you whisper. Soon,
your muscles will begin to twitch, tiny signals of the body loosening its last ties to wakefulness. Then you'll drift, dreams will come, not like visitors, but like memories returning home, and when they do, don't worry about meaning. Dreams are the mind's way of cleaning its lens, polishing the mirror between you and the universe. Sometimes they make sense, sometimes they don't. Either way,
they're healing you. If you could see your brain right now,
it would look like a slow, glowing sea. Waves rolling gently from front to back, synchronizing every cell in a lullaby of electricity. Each wave tells your body rest, restore, repair. Meanwhile, your heart slows to its nighttime rhythm. Steady, faithful, ancient. The same beat it learned before you were born, listening to the body that carried you. That rhythm has never left you. It's your first and oldest gravity. Outside, the night continues its own quiet work. The planet spins under you at nearly 1,000 miles an hour, but you don't feel it. The air moves, tides shift, stars turn overhead, all without disturbance. That's how the cosmos sleeps, in motion, but at peace, and you, too, are allowed to move without effort. Breathing, dreaming, floating. Let yourself imagine this. You are lying not on a bed, but in a field of stars. They're soft, close, humming faintly. Each one holds a thought, a memory, a hope. You could reach for them if you wanted, but you don't need to. They're already lighting the inside of your mind. Every breath you take stirs them, just a little, like dust in a sunbeam. The air around you is thicker now, almost liquid, like time itself has slowed to match your pulse. You can let go of the day now. Let go of everything you've done, everything left undone. It's all drifting away, dissolving into the gravity of rest. If you need a thought to hold on to, hold this. The universe doesn't hurry. You don't have to, either. Sleep will arrive when it's ready, softly, invisibly, like a tide returning to shore. You don't have to meet it halfway. Just float. Let the night carry you. Your breath is the universe expanding. Your dreams are galaxies forming. Your heartbeat is the pulse of gravity. You are not falling asleep. You are joining the cosmos in its endless rhythm of calm. And when you wake again, you won't remember every word.
That's how it's supposed to be.
The mind keeps the calm, not the sentences. The calm is what you came for. So here, at the soft gravity of sleep, you can rest knowing this. You are part of something vast, kind, and endlessly patient. You are held by invisible hands older than time, lighter than air. Let them hold you. You don't have to listen anymore. You can drift. And as we drift further, the universe closes its eyes, and through it so do you, quietly, peacefully, without end.